Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to StealingSolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to StealingSolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs. The following is a clip from the World Class Bullshitters live show, broadcasting live here on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every Thursday night. You're invited, and bring a friend. And then they'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends, and so on, and so on, and so on. Well, the movie The Exorcist, The Believer, which is the most unnecessary fifth film in a franchise, is here. And yes, it made $32 million, and some would think, oh, a Blumhouse movie, that's a great hit, that's a lot of money. This movie cost Universal a fuckload of money to actually produce, more so than the budget. So, let's talk about that. The latest take on the Exorcist franchise could end up costing the studio hundreds of millions of dollars if subsequent movies don't offer a larger profit. The Exorcist Believer opened to, according to this, it says it opened to $27 million in the opening weekend. So, technically by our numbers, Kendo still wins, but I guess in the last few days it's made an additional, $5 million. So, audiences on Rotten Tomato do not like it. They gave it a 58%. Critics gave it a 23%. It has a C on Cinema Score. And a lot of people are saying terrible things like the editing in the movie was obnoxious. The film was a forced piece of crap. And some people are calling it woke, the Wokecercist. And now not your normal people are calling it that. The Wokecercist is being called, or the film is being called The Wokecercist by the guys over at Red Letter Media. Now, I've been back into watching a lot of their content lately just because it's, good to listen to while I'm working on Wokebusters. But there's a line in this movie, and they have a clip. Can you guys venture a guess why Ellen Burstyn, the mother in the first film, was not allowed in the exorcism with her daughter Reagan in the original film?
She's black.
Isn't it just because she's terrified or whatever?
Nick, you're the horror guy.
I haven't seen the movie in years. I've drawn a blank.
Well, no, it's in the new movie, and the reason she was not allowed to go in is because of the patriarchy. That is a line of dialogue from the new Exorcist film. That is not a joke. Yes.
Riveting stuff. I wonder why it did so poorly.
God damn it. You can't fucking win.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So when
Actually,
you hear...
we can, because the patriarchy apparently keeps winning. So there we go.
Yeah, well, you know what they say, Kendo. If you can't break the glass ceiling, you might as well clean it.
It's looking a little streaky up there. I'm not too satisfied.
Oh my god.
Now, when you hear stuff like this, are you more or less inclined to go see the film?
Less.
Way less.
Way less.
In this particular case, I want to see how bad it is. If they legitimately say that.
They do. They played a clip in the Red Letter Media video.
Say what?
They actually played the clip in the Red Letter Media video. Nobody's joking. That's serious.
I want to see how bad it is, because that's, to force that in there is just, that is a really weird choice.
Now, yeah, and from what I remember, I think once again, I haven't seen the movie in a while, but from what little I remember, I think they didn't let her in because like she was the mother and they didn't want to see her kid like that or something. It was something to that effect.
Yeah, but who told her she couldn't go in?
Tells them that you're scared it targets you. Is what I'm trying to remember. It's been, I watched it a couple of years ago, but because I thought it was because she was so terrified was why he wouldn't let her in there.
Yeah,
which is why they go and get the two priests that they go and get. Obviously, I always want to say Peter Sellers. I don't know why I can't say that, but
Max von Sydow.
One dude, huh?
Max von Sydow?
Thank you. Yeah. Because he was a OG priest and he'd done it before. And then obviously he wanted Father, what's his name?
Karras?
Which ended up being
Karam, Jason.
I thought it was specifically because Pazuzu was gonna fucking target her.
Yeah.
Do you remember that episode we did years ago when we referred to the demon in the first movie as Pazuzu, and that audience member freaked out? They're like, "It's Captain Howdy, it's not Pazuzu." I'm like, it's Pazuzu in the second movie.
I remember because that was around that time where the internet was doing this thing where his real name is Captain Howdy because blah, blah. Everyone's like, no, bitch. Like he says his fucking name. What do you want? Shut up.
I just remembered that.
Internet shit reared its head today with the thing, Nick.
Yeah, man.
That was all going viral a little bit on Twitter and on Reddit. It's like, you guys shut the fuck up.
I love the internet.
That shit happens, man. It's dumb.
Now, while the $27 million would normally be nothing to scoff at, the reboot comes on the heels of Universal Studios buying the rights to the Exorcist IP for... All right, did I give the number out yet? Because let's play a guessing game.
No.
Dion, how much did they pay for the Exorcist?
Universal, you said?
Yes.
I'm gonna say they paid for the Exorcist. I'm gonna say they paid $400 million for it.
Nick.
$100 million.
Kendo.
I'll split the difference and go 250.
Dion was 100% correct at $400 million. That's
what the fuck?
World class, bitch.
That is way too much fucking money for that thing.
Oh, I know.
But it's a seriously recognizable property, and people forget about the sequels, especially because 3 is really good, and they just not just the sequels, but all those adjacent spin-offs and shit. So overall, the property is it's worth money. It's just, it sucks that there haven't been a lot of great Exorcist movies.
Well, I mean, you can only do those so much, really. Like there can be like 3, 4. Even now, this whole year, we've gotten quite a few of them, and it's been kind of like, all right, we get it. Calm down. But even then, there was an Exorcist TV show that came out in, I want to say 2016, was it?
I think so.
Yeah, 20. Okay, it lasted 2 seasons, each being 10 episodes. So that tells you right there. And like, well, once again, this was a few years ago. Even that, like, they couldn't keep it going. I feel like Exorcist is like Indiana Jones, where it's recognizable, but it's so old and they haven't done anything with it in a while that nobody cares.
Bingo.
Now
I can get behind that.
Dude, I agree with you, and I have some numbers to back that up. So, the original Exorcist brought in over $230 million domestically, which is amazing. Now, Exorcist 2 only made $30 million. Exorcist 3 made $26 million, and The Exorcist The Beginning brought in $41 million. But, can you guess what Dominion, the prequel to The Exorcist, made at the box office with a $30 million budget? Dion?
I'm trying to remember. Dominion, did that one do... Damn, I'll say 25 million.
Nick?
I'll go 35.
Kendo?
I'll go 36.
Well, you're all wrong. It made $251,000 at the box office.
Damn it.
Yes, I'd like to amend my guess to 350.
You win. Goddamn Loch Ness monster.
Yeah, I remember Dominion being a big thing back in 2005. Because they were like, the prequel to The Exorcist. It was like I think they made it in Africa or something is where it was supposed to be. Like the setting of the movie, it was pretty good. It was all right, but I don't know. It's just strange, man. It's one of those things where like, yeah. And the 2005 to 2016 is when like they did the show and that last 2 seasons, and now they're doing a fucking movie again. It's like this is few and far between, man. Come on. And I feel like without what's her name, Linda Blair, you're not gonna get anything.
She's in the new one, Nick.
Is she really?
Yeah, she pops up at the very end.
Of course she does. She's like I'm just gonna do this scene, get my check, and get back on my flight.
I mean, can you blame her? She's got all those animals to save.
That's true. She does. She saved all of them.
Now, I wanted to pick your guys' brain about this. Do you think, because of the climate we live in, where Hollywood can't really elevate religion and certain things like that, do you think a movie like this will actually, or we know it didn't work, but do you think that could be one of the reasons why this movie didn't work? Because, as we know, exorcisms are a Catholic thing. They're afraid to talk about or build up certain religions in Hollywood. And I'm not saying I'm pro-religious movies or anything like that, but when you have something that comes from a religion in a movie, and it's the main focal point, you can't separate it from it, you kind of got to either go in or just not make it. Like, you can make ghost movies like the Conjuring with Ed, Lorraine Warren and all those people, but The Exorcist has to be very religious, and they just don't talk about that anymore.
Well, I disagree with that, and here are my 2 points. Constantine and the Supernatural TV show.
Okay. Now, remember, both of those are almost 20 years old.
That's true, but they still Constantine's. I really like it. I think it's really good, and it's still a comic book, and it's still going. The Supernatural TV show, people still love it, and they're still buying it and watching it now. So I mean, yes, it is old. Yes, those are old, but the fan bases are still there, and they're still willing to watch the stuff, even the prequel show that they had for a season and a half or 2 seasons or something. The things like that. They're willing to, keep following those guys and going to the conventions and, things like that. So that's still a thing. The thing is in that when, especially, I think the problem is nowadays with Hollywood, when it's an existing IP like this, people don't want to go see it because they know Hollywood will not do it justice. They will not make it good. It will not be something you want to see. It'll be the Exorcist, as you said. Now, I mean, that's what it's going to be. So nobody really wants to check it out and give it their money.
The reason I don't want to give this my money is nothing to do with any of the ideological stuff. It's I hate legacy sequels. I hate reboots and remakes. It's like 50 years is a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things, but an iconic movie lasts forever. And so, The Exorcist is 50 years old this year. Bond movies are over 60 years old. I don't understand the disconnect because we grew up watching movies that were we were watching movies that were 40 years old when we were growing up. That's like a kid watching an 80s movie today going, oh, I can't watch it, it's so old. Hell, we grew up on The Wizard of Oz. That movie is, 1939? That movie is almost 29 years older than us. No, wait, no, I can't do the math. Wow, I blew that big time. It's like... I'm tired. Wow. Anyway, the point is,
the movie came out 44 years ago.
I'm in my prime.
Yeah, I'm just like, what? Anyway, I'm looking at all these other numbers on the screen. Jeez.
Oh my god.
Well, I think that just for complete 100% objectivity, there are certain things to consider. I mean, obviously, Constantine's a thing, Supernatural's a thing. But, those aren't, I mean, while there are religious elements in it, it's not specific to, like, Catholicism like The Exorcist is, So, and especially, the context of which when the first one came out, and people were freaking out back in the 70s when that shit came out. When the movie, and it was in theaters, people were leaving to faint in the hallway and fainting in the movie, because, society was, all the suburban mobs and shit went to see this movie. So there is context. And at the same time, again, it is, Hollywood does this because it is hard to come up with an original concept. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not explaining it away. But they look at it as X's and O's. Like you spend this much money, you expect this much in return. And obviously they still haven't figured it out that when you spend $400 million for a property, when you come out with your version, it has to be good, and I just don't understand the need. I understand the thought behind it. They think that people are going to hear that and then go see the movie and then be like to their friends, oh my God, the new Exorcist was so progressive. Where in reality, it's like people aren't going to see the Exorcist to talk about the patriarchy. They're just not doing it. And it's so frustrating, especially in horror, because, outside of shit like Black Christmas, it's a genre that you don't get away with that, and the C Universal attempt that, knowing that it's horror. Horror isn't young adult, it just doesn't fit. But for some reason, they just love the flavor of that shotgun, man. Like, we're going to say patriarchy and they're all going to show up to the movie. Like, it's just, it is the weirdest fucking thing, man. It's Twitter isn't full of horror fans. It's full of people who talk about it. They don't go to these movies. They don't spend their money. Yeah, Leslie Odom was in it, but I'm not watching. And I get that he's religious too. Like whatever, I get it. But people aren't watching to have that conversation. We get it. It's supposed to be little girls and stuff, and then the mom is back. But just because you have women in your movie doesn't mean you have to have the word patriarchy in it. It's just so self-destructive.
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh at that, but well said. So, is there anything else you guys want to address in terms of this? I mean, it's going to take a while for them to make $400 million. Universal has responded and says they're not giving up on this. But this might be one of the first, I guess, dings in the armor that is Blumhouse, because Blumhouse is known for making their super cheap horror movies. And yes, like we said, this movie made $27 million so far, but they got a lot to make back. And as you saw earlier, these Exorcist sequels fall off from $230 million in 1973 money down to $250,000 in 2005 money. So it's a pretty much DOA type of idea to think it's going to pick up in the second and third. This isn't going to be like a John Wick situation where they make more. But
no, but kudos to Universal for saying we got knocked down, but we're going to get up again, and that you'll never be able to keep us down.
Yeah.
God damn it, Kendo. Oh, jeez.
We'll be singing when they're winning. Stealing Solo asks the greatest what-if question of all time. What if a group of disgruntled Star Wars fans kidnap Harrison Ford and force him to remake Star Wars in their basement? That, and a whole lot more, is answered in Stealing Solo, a Captain's Parody. Stealing Solo has been called Laugh Out Loud Funny and the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs, and it's available now for a limited time only. Go to StealingSolo.com, which is powered by Shopify, so you get the reward-winning safety and security, and get yourselves a copy today. Once we sell through this limited backstock, I'm going back to the drawing board to bring you the sequel, which parodies Luke Skywalker's fall from grace, and finally the closing chapter, which I can't wait to get to, Frankenfisher, the Bride of Solo. And yes, it's exactly what you think it is. So folks, the only way to get that is go to StealingSolo.com right now, get yourselves a copy, and enjoy the greatest Star Wars parody since Spaceballs.